Sometimes the best leaders come out of nowhere. They aren't from the most popular place or the most famous or wealthy family. They just emerge because of what they have accomplished with less resources. And if Vanderbilt beats Alabama and Texas in the same season in football, then head coach Clark Lea needs to be the next president of the United States. Yeah, you heard that right. I said it. If you could pull this off at a place like Vandy, imagine what you can do with the full support and resources of the greatest superpower on planet Earth right now. Sports are incredibly important, and we obviously love them here. It's what we chose to do with our lives. But there are bigger fish to fry out there. I mean, if he could get the Commodores NIL rolling like this and people excited in that fan base about football, imagine what he could do with our economy. We'd be richer than ever before. If he can take down the college football superpowers of Alabama and Texas, then Russia and China have no chance in hell against us. If he can recruit these type of players to Vandy and secure this roster, he could secure our borders in no time. In all seriousness, though, if Vanderbilt does find a way to beat Texas this weekend, which is going to be really tough regardless of what they've done, he has to win Coach of the Year. And it's one of the best coaching jobs that I have ever witnessed. Perhaps the most impressive part is Vanderbilt didn't need the element of luck or surprise to win these games. They're legitimately personnel, and they're damn well coached. They don't embrace being the little guy. They actually dare to have confidence, and they know who they are. This team plays to win, not hoping to win, because hope's not a plan. And when you mix that with players who have enough ability, you get what we've seen so far. So kudos to the Commodores and Coach Clark Lea, or should I say, Mr. President. David Cone, former Michigan quarterback. He was smart enough to get into Vandy, though. My brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain. Probably like me, not smart enough to get into Vandy. I'm just saying, it's the truth. All right, I wasn't either.
It's never a good thing.
It's a good thing a lot of times.
Must be nice.
You have a day where you become a dragon. I don't want to hear it.
More of a day walker myself.
You are. David, when you look at, and I want you to tell everybody and update everybody on this, the 247 thing that happened with Quinn Ewers. I want to get to that. But with all the questions kind of surrounding Texas right now, including the rumors or dispelled rumors or whatever, Vanderbilt is just over there cruising. They're confident, right? Don't let them hang around in this. What % chance would David Cone,
so not
savant,
Vegas?
No. David Cone, what % chance would you give Vandy to pull off the upset this week?
Well, is Quinn Ewers sitting out or not? Like, that's one of the biggest questions. 23%. I give him 23%.
23%.
Yeah.
Will you let our audience kind of know what this Quinn Ewers situation?
So, you guys saw this yesterday too, right? There was a post about from 247 Sports that Quinn Ewers was going to opt out for the rest of the season. Then they immediately, how did the timeline work? They immediately deleted it?
Immediately deleted it.
Okay, but they made a graphic.
Yeah,
but they said they got hacked, right?
Not till today. They said they got hacked today.
Yeah. So it came out that apparently 247 put a message out that they got hacked that said with the graphic that Quinn Ewers was going to sit for the rest of the season and prepare for the NFL draft.
Yes.
The thing about it with me, and Quinn came out later and tweeted fake news.
Fake news.
The thing about it with me is it's different if you just tweet something. Right? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, man, I shouldn't have said that.
Or I got hacked.
There's but you made a full graphic, right? Like you typed in the letters, you made the signs, you brought everything down. That takes time to do. So it's weird to me, but if there's ever a guy who knows how to push some propaganda, all right, it's Clark Lea.
What about Clark Lea?
Look, I can't prove it, but I just know it's true.
What about Clark Lea makes you think he's just this mastermind propagandist?
Exactly.
It's one.
The fact that you
looks like
expect
Professor Xavier from X-Men. We all can admit that too. And he just, some people just looks like they're up to something. All right, and Clark just looks like he's up to something.
Him and Dave Aranda always look like
Those
they're up to
two,
something.
I don't know what similarities they have. Maybe it's completely the bald head, or maybe. But I guarantee they have a chair that they sit in that looks somewhat evil. Right, they can spin around. It's real Dr. Evil vibes.
Well, the coolest part about what Vanderbilt's doing to me is not that, like you said, not like they lucked up and just beat Alabama or they beat a team and then lose all the rest of their games. They're like legitimately well personneled and they're beating you on the football field, which
and they know who they are.
Goes to show a lot of teams out there. Like, look what happens when you get a gamer at quarterback.
And I think this goes back to a little bit of what we were saying last week of, maybe these teams that have players that aren't making all the big bucks, that may not be at the biggest brands. They're not at the Coca-Colas. They're not at the Sprites. They're at Czech Cola, all right? You know, the cereals, they're not Captain Crunch. They're Professor Crunchy, you know, like the knockoff. Maybe this is them coming together and playing as a team. When you look at, even though it's fake news or whatever, the questions surrounding Texas now and all the turmoil that comes with being one of the top dogs, Vanderbilt's still playing with house money, but doing it their way. They play to their strengths. They know who they are. As far as the tweet that got deleted, maybe I'm just aloof when it comes to this. And I know that 247s is a sports place. But if you got hacked, right? If you were a hacker, okay, and I don't work for Anonymous or anything, I don't know anything about it. If you're a hacker and you're gonna break into one of these big companies, are you really gonna hack them and tweet out something about Quinn Ewers? I think it would be so much worse than that. Like if you were really trying to get somebody, you think that you hacked in there to do that? I think you hack in there and be like, hey, Jeffrey Epstein was innocent or something like that.
But then wouldn't everybody just know, 247 got hacked? With this one, it's like, that's a legitimate story.
It just makes you think, what type of person would want to do that?
Like, that's it. God, that is oddly
somebody who's playing against them on Saturday on a football field.
Okay, so you're pushing the
you're going the Clark Lee angle.
But look, in all fairness, it wasn't a good look for Texas that the first time you faced adversity, Steve Sarkeesian pulled Quinn Ewers out of the football game.
So let's talk about that for a second. Here's where, if I'm a Texas fan, and you brought this up, but here's where, if I'm a Texas fan, I'm a little weirded out by this whole thing. Because all Sark said, they asked him, what would it take for you to take out Quinn Ewers to put Arch Manning? And he basically said World War III. It would have to be an injury. There's no way. You've had a guy that's played a lot of big games in Quinn Ewers, who's got a lot of experience. And you take him out at the first sign of trouble against Georgia, because this in Oklahoma, where you knew they couldn't score. Georgia was moving the ball. They were turning it over, but they were moving the ball, and you knew they could score. The fact that you took him out, an experienced guy, so quickly in that big game, makes, after all the stuff that Sark said, makes me think deep down he really don't trust this guy. Like there's something, there's a there. There's a worry there. And if you watch Quinn Ewers, and I don't think Quinn Ewers is a soft person, but there's levels to this. You look at all the big games Quinn Ewers has played in against teams that could score against Texas and teams that were good on defense, right? I'm not talking about the other ones. When he starts out good, it goes pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. When he starts out bad, it falls apart. So is there a part of you, and Blaine, I want to ask you this, is there a part of you that thinks Sark doesn't really trust Quinn Ewers from a mental standpoint to have that dog in him if it's not going good? Something we said about Caleb Williams, something we said about Spencer Rattler before he left Oklahoma and went to South Carolina, because that's not normal to sit a guy a series with that much experience in a big game like that.
It's just, then why play him? Why start him? If you don't trust him, if you don't think he has it, why not just move to the future?
Because maybe Arch isn't ready. Arch isn't ready. You're going to move to the future this year?
Well, what basically you're saying is Quinn's not ready.
I feel like he's stuck.
If you don't trust your starting quarterback, a senior, in the biggest moments, then he's not ready and he'll never be ready. So why wouldn't you just move on to the guy that you have a lot of time to fix?
Because that's not what Texas thought coming into this year. This isn't a let's build for the future year. This isn't a let's take our lumps. This was, we're coming into the SEC to whip y'all's ass because we got a great team, we've got an experienced quarterback, and we're coming into prison and punching the biggest guy on the first day. David, it's like Sark, because he can't come out in the public and say that. He can't come out and say, guys, well, I really don't trust Quinn Ewers that much, but Arch Manning isn't ready yet, so I'm kind of stuck in this quarterback purgatory, and there's huge expectations this year. David, is Sark stuck?
Well, it didn't come out of nowhere because we asked for a long time, like, hey, what happens when they do face a little adversity? Like, do the calls from the fans get louder? I didn't think Steve Sarkeesian would actually, bench Quinn Ewers in that biggest moment, but that just speaks to the game plan that Georgia came in with and that Kirby Smart came in with in that moment. And I do think that's a little bit worrisome. Now, whether or not that carries over into Vanderbilt, we'll see. But I am glad to hear this morning that the rumors about Quinn Ewers opting out for the NFL aren't true. I'm glad to hear that because, I mean, honestly, I don't see Quinn Ewers as a franchise NFL quarterback. Like, I don't think like a quarterback can go through an entire college career and not stay healthy for a complete season at any time, and then all of a sudden you get more sturdy as you go to the NFL. I think Quinn Ewers' best chance to leave a lasting impact on the game of football is this season in college with the Longhorns, leading Texas back to a national championship.
Yeah.
That's what we were promised this type of year would be. If you're going to deliver that, you got to bounce back quickly from what happened last week.
And are we sure even the one drive Quinn got taken out during that football game that it wasn't an injury thing?
I don't think it was an injury.
He banged up his ankle on that one tackle late in the second quarter on that.
But they asked Sark at halftime before he ran into the tunnel, like, hey, yeah, we're just trying to get something going here. And
yeah, that wasn't it was an injury. He got roughed up on that Capfire blitz, that corner blitz. But here's the comparison. Here's a difference in trust to me, right? And you can make the injury excuse all you want if you want to. That's fine to make yourself feel better. Drink as much copium as you need. But Kirby Smart didn't pull Carson Beck in the first half and then starting the third quarter against Alabama when it was at its worst. When it was at its darkest. When we had people in the chat, we were live streaming the game, Georgia fans, saying, you got to pull him just to try and mix something up. Kirby stayed with him. He stayed with him. The first sign of trouble in a game that Texas played a team that is balanced and as close to as well personneled as them, they took out Quinn Ewers for a series or two, I can't remember if it was one or two, and put Arch Manning in there, and then put Quinn back in. So to me, that's the difference in trust. When it was at its darkest for Georgia, against Alabama, a team that they can't get over the hump against, that the one knock on Kirby, right, he can't beat Bama, you didn't replace him. But in the first huge year of Texas in the SEC, when they're the favorites and have a chance to separate themselves from the rest of college football, the first sign of trouble, you yanked them. That's something deep inside of Steve Sarkeesian that I don't think trusts Quinn Ewers full-throatedly, I guess is the best way to put it. But we want to know what you think in the chat. Maybe you want to take in the poll today. Blaine, read the poll real quick.
All right, the poll is who covers the spread Saturday? Texas minus 18.5 or Vanderbilt plus 18.5.
Let's get to the chat. I'm sure that's a lot of fun right now.
All right, chat, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you donate, it's on topic. It will get read. We're going to start the day off with Gabriel Nehmeyer. What's up, Gabe? Says 247 being crazy out there. Are working the social media content and the memes and jokes. Our team here are great. That was probably just some employee posting something with a mistake that was a joke 100%.
Yeah, well, see, and again, I've got no ill will toward 247. I mean, you know, we kind of, you know, dibble-dabble through all of them, and I don't think it was something where there's this, you know, 247 doesn't care anymore. They tried to pull a stunt. That the we got hacked part, to me, that I believe they came out and said, they allegedly came out and said, I want to make sure I'm 100% factual on that. But no, that is not a representation of 247 as a whole, in my opinion. But my thing is, you know what? If it was my company and they put that out and had to delete it, I would literally come out and say, hey, we accidentally posted this. It was supposed to be a joke or a meme, or somebody posted this without sourcing. We see corrections all the time in media. I'm just not for the North Koreans hacked 247 Sports, because that's really what them and the Chinese are worried about. If that's what they said, which is what I saw they said.
I wouldn't put it past them. Let's go to UT. UT, what's up, brother? He said, Saban yanked Jalen Hurts in the national championship game to play a true freshman. We shouldn't be surprised by this move.
Yeah, and they wouldn't have won that national championship if that decision hadn't been made.
No, and again, I think where Quinn Ewers was heading into this year and where Jalen Hurts was is still a little bit different, right? There was talk about this new young up-and-coming phenom. And I see where you're comparing both of the situations, but we had seen Tua come in before, right, in big spots, and we saw that back and forth with Jalen Hurts. To me, this was supposed to be the Quinn Ewers coming out, Heisman winning, Texas team that wins the SEC in year one, comes in swinging a big fist. Not that it's the most shocking thing that ever happened, but in this circumstance, I was very surprised at how quickly that it happened. That's probably the most jarring part about it. It wasn't like it was the Georgia-Bama game and you got crushed in the first half and Quinn looked awful and you decided to let Arch have a drive or two to start the third quarter. No, 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 no. This was early in the game when this happened. So somewhere in the back of your mind, you were thinking about this before the game happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not only that, but with the Jalen Hurts thing, I mean, this was the first time we had seen Quinn have any adversity this season, really, right? I mean, they're undefeated. He'd been playing really well other than the games where he got hurt. With that Alabama team and Jalen Hurts, there had been some struggles
throughout the year. That's
right?
Exactly right. Leading up to that.
And already people were saying, man, the true freshman that's sitting behind him, throws it really well. I wonder if that's going to come into play later in the year. And it wasn't a name thing. It wasn't a Arch Manning, you're the great-grandson of Archie Manning. It was legitimately like Jalen Hurts is struggling to throw the football.
And unless I'm mistaken, Jalen Hurts had to come back in the SEC championship game that year after being replaced because Tua got hurt.
That was the next year, that's one of the craziest situations ever. I mean, Alabama doesn't win that national championship against Georgia unless the freshman Tua replaces Jalen Hurts. They don't win the SEC championship the next year unless the exact opposite happened. How crazy is that? That's why they're both NFL quarterbacks right now.
Exactly. That's a great problem to have. Yeah, and that's when I threw the gun in the river and got out of there. Oh, hey, what's up, YouTube? Appreciate you guys stopping by. If you get a chance, hit that subscribe button. If not, well, I guess it is what it is.